Today's topic is kind of a controversial one. No, it looks a little strange. Why marketing isn't the answer to leveling up your business, getting the clients you need.
Right.
What's the
Yeah.
question?
Yeah, this is something we're really familiar with as well from our experience,
Mhm.
especially early on, where if you find that you've been trying to get the word out about whatever it is you have to offer. So the bottom line, perhaps, is you've been trying to get clients or customers so that you're able to serve people and help people in the way that you want to and that you know you can. But there's so much conflicting information out
Mhm.
there. So if you're perhaps following people like Gary Vee or Alex Hormozy, or there's so many business leaders out there, and what they have to share seems to make so much sense. But if you are like we were, where
Yeah.
you're doing your best, you're trying to put into action or take the steps that they're all suggesting, and it's not working for you, in other words, you still don't have the customers or the clients that you want, or nobody seems to know about you yet, despite writing the blogs and creating the content, and perhaps you're even doing videos or reels, or maybe you're even paying someone to do it,
Yeah,
or paying for advertising.
I was just going to say, thinking back on that journey for us, we put a lot of money in early
Yes.
on before we kind of recognized what we're going to be sharing with you here. The issues, the core of what didn't make that stuff work in general.
That's right.
But we put a lot of money and time and energy into following different people, trying to institute different courses, programs, and it had that feeling of beating your head against the wall. It was
Yeah.
just, why isn't this working?
Yeah, and we ended up paying consultants at times as well, different ones. We went from one to another, including we paid a company to help us with our marketing, and it was going to last for whatever period of time. And we ended up actually just cutting our losses and stopping working with them, even though we'd already paid for the whole thing. I mean, we've had quite a lot of experience with that kind of thing, and we're going to share with you today the two parts to the answer to all of this and why marketing is not working for you if that's where you are right now.
Yeah. So why? why
Right.
why isn't this working? What is it that, we
Yeah.
discovered?
The first piece of this is that there's a part of your brain that we are consciously unaware of that is working in the background to keep you in alignment with certain references, unconscious. So this is not something you're aware of. And the problem is that because it's not conscious, we are affected by it and we don't know we're affected by it. And it seems like we are making conscious decisions when we're actually not. And I'm going to share with you exactly what that is. So as you look at an opportunity, let's say, or you watch a video from Alex Hormozy or Gary Vee or whoever, whatever's being said or whatever the program being presented to you seems like a really good idea and it makes sense. And you think, yes, that's what I need to do. That makes sense. This is what's been missing from my business all this time. And so I'm going to do that. Or I'm going to buy that program, or I'm going to hire that person, whatever the situation is. As you are looking at that information, you think that it's your conscious mind that is taking into account all of the details, and then you are making a conscious decision based on logic and your experience. However, behind the scenes, what's really happening is the unconscious part of your brain is taking in all of those details, all of that information, and a whole lot of other information that you are not consciously aware of. So the unconscious part of your brain is taking all of that data and then checking the unconscious self-image and worldview, the references you have from childhood. So childhood seems like so far away, but it forms our self-image and worldview, the evidence that proves it. Your brain is then looking there and going, what does this mean? And is it a good match? Not for, is this a good match for the goals I want to achieve or what I want to experience in my life? Is this a good match for what has always been? And that is so key, because the unconscious part of your brain is keeping you in alignment with what's always been, not with what you consciously want. And if you're watching this on video, just rewind that and listen to that again, because I can't remember exactly how I said it, but that is so key. In fact, if you're listening to the podcast, also rewind this or listen to it again. I've forgotten that we do the podcast as well. Keeping you in alignment with what's always been, not with what you consciously want. And so let's say, like us, okay, at that time in our business, in the beginning, we had struggled in the past. So the unconscious part of each of our brains was making sure that we were in alignment with that. Now, how does it do that? I hear you say.
I know that we obviously can't go into all of the detail of that right now, that it's a bit more complex than what we can put into a short video right now. But the thing that I would like to add to this is that it kind of acts like a filter in the background. So what we experience subconsciously, what we experience as children, essentially creates, the way I kind of see it in my mind, is it kind of creates this filter whereby we see everything that is coming at us through this filter. So if you think about wearing ski goggles or sunglasses and they're orange, then everything that you see is being filtered through that lens. So everything looks orange. And in our world, it is matching up. Like I'm looking for more of that orange in my life, and I'm seeing everything, and certain things are looking orange, and I'm attracted toward that.
Right.
Again, a little bit more complex, but it's just an understanding that what we experience in childhood, neurochemically, what we felt emotionally, ends up becoming the filter that we're seeing everything else in the world. And it's those feelings that subconsciously we're trying to replicate in everything, in all of the decision making that we have moving forward.
So as you look at these opportunities, your brain is referring to those references, and then it's producing chemicals that create a feeling of this makes sense and it's a good idea, or this is not a good idea, there's red flags. So it means that there can be an opportunity that would be perfect for you, that would actually get the results for you. But if it's not in alignment with those childhood references, your brain is going to produce stress chemicals that make it seem like this is not a good option, so that you stay in alignment with what's always been. Or there may be, which happened for me so much, there may be an opportunity or an option that would not work, is not going to help at all. But because it would keep you in alignment with that feeling of being stuck or whatever it is, your brain then produces feel-good chemicals that make you think, oh, yeah, this is it. And you get excited and you make that decision. So those references are affecting, in the way, like Steve says, like looking through colored lenses, those references are affecting your perception and your judgment. So the decisions you make, and you think, yes, that seems like a good idea, and that doesn't.
Yeah, and I just wanted to give a real life example from my life of what I ended up discovering. And this is like years after I had lost original business that I was working at, then discovering what was that lens that was keeping me from actually being successful. And interestingly enough, going back and working through the feelings that were there in childhood. Now, in this particular case, I know that there were references for me growing up as a kid, listening to my father coming home on a almost nightly basis, talking about, the people's cars. He was a mechanic, and talking about the cars. The point being, he would come home, I would hear that little 5-year-old or whatever was back there picking up the messaging that he was frustrated, upset, and spoke coarsely about the rich people's cars that he was working on that way. Or he was speaking coarsely about the rich people that he felt abused by or taken advantage of, who owned the dealership where he worked, and that kind of thing. So that little me was it was onboarding that messaging that rich people in one way or another are not safe. And more importantly, if I became a rich person, my dad wasn't going to like me or love me anymore. So all of those kind of things are the unconscious filter that was built or created in childhood. It was running in the background, completely unaware of what was going on. So as I was building this business, I would get to a certain level of income in that business, and then something would happen. I would make a decision, I would not take action, I would do something, And I can go back and, long story, and I can tick those off and kind of lay that out of how that happened. But now looking back, I'm going, wow, those decisions no longer would be in alignment with me because I've made those changes. But back then, when I was in that business, unconsciously, when the business would get to a certain level of success, I would be doing something that would take me back down again. And I think that many of them kind of have experienced that income roller coaster and why am I on it? But in this particular case, again, just the filters that were created were impacting my decision making, my action taking, etc. And it was keeping me in alignment with what had always been, that always been feeling of wanting to be safe, wanting to feel that safety. Now, I know that all of that seems like a bit of a stretch. Really, that's the stuff that was running my business. But, in making those changes and recognizing just how much power those unconscious programs have in the background, making those shifts and changes, changing what we're holding regarding the past has in fact changed how we move forward in business and increasing that level of success because I no longer have that same filter that I had in childhood. And it's like the proof is in the pudding. It's like, what did I actually change? Well, I changed what I'm holding about the past, and it's now automatically, I've got a new filter. It's automatically lining me up with something different in the background. And that's the key. And again, I know there's a lot of material there, and we go into that in more detail in other videos, in the masterclass, etc. You can access a bit more of that in our masterclass.
The link to the free masterclass that goes into all of this in depth is in the description. So if you click on that, you'll be able to access that. The second piece that I wanted to share with you is, so the first piece is that those references from childhood that form our unconscious self-image and worldview are affecting our perception, the way we see things, so whether something seems like a good idea or not, and our decisions, whether we actually then make a decision to go with this thing or that thing, or hire this person or that person, that kind of thing. The second piece is those references are also affecting whether we actually take action or not. So you may have experienced, which a lot of people do, you buy a program or you enroll in a training or you come across some information that you think, yes, this will help my business. And then for some reason, you don't actually do the thing. And the apparent reasons will vary from person to person. So for some people, it'll be, I don't have time to do it. I've got too much on my plate. For some people, it'll feel overwhelming. I don't know what to do first. Or what will people think? Or I can't do this. I don't have what I need. Those are going to vary. And all of those are just symptoms. They're not actual real reasons. They seem like real reasons, maybe. For some people, it'll just be like procrastination, like they never get round to doing it. What's actually going on again in the background is that unconscious part of your brain is referring to the references that form your unconscious self-image and worldview. And then if what the action you want to take, the results you want to achieve by that action is not in alignment with that self-image and worldview, the unconscious part of your brain is again triggering chemicals, stress chemicals, that are causing the feeling of, I don't have enough time, or I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do, or I just don't feel like it, or I don't like doing that, or what are people going to think of me? Those chemicals are creating those feelings, and your conscious mind is then interpreting those feelings to mean, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know what to do, I don't have enough time, what are people going to think, and all of those so-called reasons. But the truth is, it's all happening in the background without your conscious knowledge. Now, you change those references, those childhood references that form your self-image and worldview, then suddenly you do feel like doing the thing. You do have enough time. You're able to prioritize. You're able to comprehend what you have to do. And you go, oh yeah, I can just take that step. Or you think, oh, you know what? I need more help. I'm willing to reach out, and oh, that person can help me. It changes your perception. It changes your choices, what seems like a good idea, what doesn't seem like a good idea, what decisions you make, and it changes your willingness to take the action that you need to take in order to achieve those results. And all of that is also unconscious. So this is the thing about it, is it's all unconscious, and the conscious mind only becomes aware of it after the chemical thing has happened. And this is what's happened with us. Suddenly we were making different decisions. We were looking at people and going, oh yeah, no, that's clearly not the right fit for us. But we could see how in the past we would have thought so. No, this is definitely the best option for us, and we can work with them, and hiring the right people who turn out to be amazing, and then taking those actions that need to be taken. So I know that a lot of business people, they want to create a webinar that will help people. Then there's the thing of, wow, it seems so overwhelming. What about the slides? How is the structure? And perhaps you're getting advice on that, but you just can't get yourself to do it. Or I don't want to be seen on camera. There's all of those things. Or perhaps you wake up in the morning and just feel like, I don't want to do this, right? And the key is to remember all of that is unconscious, coming from those references, and you don't need to do anything about it consciously other than change those references, and then the rest will be automatic. The masterclass that we have will give you exactly what these references are, how they're created, and what to do in order to change them. And again, the link is in the description. Sign up for that and let us know if you have any questions, of course, about that. So we hope that's helpful for you and enlightening. Let us know in the comments if you have heard this before, or if this is new information for you, and what you think of it. And of course, if you have any questions, we'd love to hear.
Absolutely.
All right. And we will see you next time.
Bye for now.